Hey there, I'm Brad Miller and with Jason Medford today, and we are walking on the spiritual path with you. And today we want to talk about why we're so thankful. And no, it's not Thanksgiving, specifically the holiday. I know I feel like a lot of times people are only talk about, being grateful and thankful when there's a special day for it. But really, gratitude is something for every day. And so something I think it's important to talk about. And today it seemed appropriate to do so. And I know we like to tell you the reason behind why we came up with our topics. And so we're going to do that again here today of why did we choose the topic of gratitude today? So one of the things that I've been working on as part of my spiritual path is looking for signs, is listening for messages, looking for omens, things we may think of as coincidences, anything like that that can be an example of, we'll just say the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, greater power, whatever, higher beings, such like that. And so, always looking for something that says, hey, maybe this is something that you should do, or give some sort of a guidance of action to take. And that's how most of our topics for these things actually come, is usually something kind of comes to me, or there's some sort of a sign or something that says this is what we need to be discussing. And so that's what happened today for today's topic. So over the weekend, I had Chinese. And the best part of Chinese food is always the fortune cookies, you know. Um, and normally when you get a fortune cookie out of or the message of the fortune cookie, it's usually pretty lame. It's something like, I've seen was like, eat more Chinese, you know, um, and it's something usually kind of pedantic and, or like, maybe it says your lucky numbers are 7, 12, 42, something like that. And maybe there's something there for you, maybe not. That's up for you to decide. But otherwise, the main message is, there's usually not a lot to them. However, the message that I received at this fortune cookie was a little different. And the message is this: Wednesday will be the day to express gratitude for the blessings in your life. Okay, that's great, right? Well, today we're recording this podcast episode on a Wednesday. And so it felt right that we use this episode today maybe to talk about gratitude, to talk about maybe some things that that we are grateful for. Because again, I think too often we kind of take things for granted, the things that we have in our lives, things we're blessed with. And it's only on a special occasion that we really put our attention on the things that we have and actually express that gratitude. So,
No,
gratitude today.
gratitude. And I think it's, I'm grateful that you shared your experience, right? Because I think it's, placing more awareness, more attention on these things that it's almost like, and I've kind of seen this in my life too, similar to what you've been explaining. Sometimes it just seems like certain things are random, and then other things it's like you can't make that up, right?
Mhm.
And certain things start happening more and more, and it's almost as if this is happening and maybe this is happening, right? But there's beings helping us out, right? And they're, walking around Jason saying, "Hey, Jason, we'd like to talk to you." Right? Are you gonna listen? Right? And if I'm, busy in my head worrying about whatever, 3D stuff, if I'm angry, if I'm not silent, they're still kind of walking around. They're kind of like, "Hey, Jason, oh, it looks like he's busy. He doesn't really want to talk right now." and if I keep staying in that way, then they're still there and they're still ready when I'm ready. And it's almost like when you get ready and you start noticing things like, oh, that animal card that I pulled today. Oh, place awareness on it. That has some meaning for me. That was a sign for me. I want to see more things like that. And you get a fortune cookie that's not a bullshit fortune cookie, but it actually says something like, boom, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, the beings that are helping are like, oh, hey, look, he's starting to pay attention now. Well, let's give him a few more little things. And the more he pays attention, right, the clearer we can be, the more direct we can be with him, because he doesn't just see it as some coincidence that he shrugs off, but he's starting to see it as synchronicities and us communicating with him. And oh my gosh, when he is grateful and expresses gratitude for what we're communicating and what we are doing for him. And again, the him is me. I'm talking about me, right? Just in case anybody got lost on this,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And, if I express some gratitude for, the messages I'm receiving, uh, literally for like protection. I mean, I can think of an auto related issue, and literally, I mean, there were other people in the car with me, so they saw it too. But literally, this car came, when we talked about energy bubbles, this car came right out, and it should have just smashed into the side of my car, but it's like it bounced off and stopped literally like an inch before my car. Nothing happened. Right? That ain't coincidence, folks, right? When that kind of stuff happens. And so the more I'm grateful for those things happening, the more those things happen. The more
Mhm.
I'm grateful for the omens or the signs or the messages that I receive, the more they happen, right? And again, just flip it around. People who express gratitude to you, who are you more likely to do things for? The people who are actually grateful,
Yep.
right? So I think
Yep.
that's a whole part of it too, and I think it shows well what you've been working on and some of the things that are starting to happen now because you're working on it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's something really putting attention on. Um, I mean, we always have multiple things that we're working on, lessons and things that at the moment are kind of top of mind or whatever. But again, for me, I know that I've seen things come through like this, like that. Like you said, the medicine card that you pull, and it's directly in line with something that I've been thinking about lately, or the fortune cookie, the fortune that is directly relevant and actually is not just one of those throwaway things that you read and is like, oh, bananas on Tuesday. What does that mean? But actual something that's got some substance behind it and some meaning behind it, right? And so you start to see, I think the other side of it, you talked about the more you listen, the more you hear. But I think the other side of it is once you maybe get a nudge of something, it makes you want to listen more for it because you're like, ooh, what was that? And then you listen to it again, maybe a little harder, a little closer. And so then you really, you get something else. Ooh, isn't that interesting? And then another one. And then as they kept building up, you see more and more things happen that you're like, ooh, isn't that interesting? Ooh, wasn't that interesting? Ooh, that car stopped an inch from my car. Isn't that interesting how that happened? The more you see, the more then you allow yourself to listen, to open up, to be quiet, to listen, and to look for those things too. So it's kind of a cycle. It's kind of both ways. You start seeing them, it makes you more likely to listen to them, look for them. And as you look for them and you start listening to them, more will come. You
Yeah.
know, it's like my
Well, because it,
daughter.
it
She
reminds
doesn't
me,
listen to me. I stop yelling, I try to yell at her and she's not paying attention. Like
No.
I need to, start throwing things at her. But if she's there and she's paying attention, we can have a nice conversation back and forth. I can tell her things. We can talk. We can have a nice discussion. So, same thing.
Well, and even we shared the monkey wrench episode too, right? Which I think it's going to drop before this one. If it doesn't, then well, anyway, I'm giving away some. But that same thing where Brad just I think it was wrench first, and you're like wrench.
Mhm.
I don't know what wrench means.
I know what a
Paying
wrench is,
attention.
but how does that relevant
Yeah,
to
how does
anything
that relate
here?
to anything? And then all of a sudden, monkey wrench. Oh, monkey wrench. Okay, well now that's a little bit more.
But still
Monkey
nothing. Yeah.
wrench. Foo Fighters. Oh, right. So it's like you said, it's a little bit
Hmm.
at a time. And I think, the more I have changed and focused on being grateful, the more everything else has opened up.
Hmm.
Because, gratitude is a higher frequency vibration. We know that.
Hmm.
It's higher. It's a healthy vibration to be in. For me, it's easier to feel gratitude, and maybe that's because I've been working on it more. But for some reason, I can tend to go there quicker, even though again, there's so many things around us that we should be grateful for everything, but
Hmm.
that we don't place attention or awareness on everything because again all we would do is oh, I'm so grateful for this plant and I'm so grateful
Right.
for that bottle. I mean, it's like we
Yeah.
still have to live, but when we take even small periods of time, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, and focus on being grateful for different things and actually feeling it makes a huge difference, right? And even just acknowledging is is a huge deal. If I can share this or not. The One of the beings that I work with, um, a lot of times in the spiritual realm, you make offerings, or do things um, on behalf of beings that you're working with, right? Kind of like a prayer candle, if people are Catholic
Yeah.
or know some of that,
I
and
think we
you've
talked
seen
about one
you've seen
episode.
shrines. I think we talked about that a little bit,
Yeah. I remember something
before.
about putting out maybe like cookies or something we talked about
Cookies,
too.
lighting candles, water, different
Hmm.
herbs, things like that that you can as an offering of gratitude. And this one being, because a lot of them prefer certain things,
Sure. Just like we
right?
do.
Just like we
Yeah.
do. But I remember this one being that I was, kind of taught about and work with. All he wants, he doesn't need anything like that. He doesn't want anything like that. All he wants you to do is place awareness on his name, acknowledge him. That's it. He doesn't need anything else. Right. And so I think that sometimes we make it out that it has to be like this big thing, and it
Mhm.
doesn't. Obviously, if we can express gratitude in our words, that's wonderful, especially if it's to another human being, right? Because I can sit here and feel gratitude for Brad and love for Brad. And I do that a lot of times when we're sitting here. And he may feel it, he may not feel it. Doesn't matter, right? But I can do that just energetically. But as humans, we often need to hear things. So that's why it's a good idea
Mhm.
to express gratitude to other human beings, right? With our words, use your words, right? but a lot of what we may consider inanimate objects or beings or guides or angels or whatever words you may use, um, we can do it in our mind, right? We can do it in our feelings, in our heart. We can do things energetically. We don't necessarily have to say things out loud. We don't have to hold it for a certain number of seconds or anything like that. But um, whatever kind of gratitude practice you want to do is good. How much should you do? I don't know, however much you feel like you should do, right? It's like people ask, well, how long should I ground with the earth? I don't know, whatever you can do, whatever you want to do. 10 seconds is better than nothing.
Whatever feels right.
Whatever feels right, at the time. And so, sometimes I have certain practices like that, and kind of a gratitude wheel or doing some gratitude things is one of those that I do, where sometimes when I have a little break in my day, right? Instead of just letting my wine my wind wanda my wind maunder,
A little drinking in
you
the day
little drinking,
drinking.
you little day drinking, no, yeah, a little coffee, that's what I got. Instead of letting my mind just wander to monkey chatter or thinking about what I have to do next or thinking about some past experience, if I can just present moment myself. And one of the practices is that, to spend 15 seconds, 30 seconds, however long I can, just feeling gratitude and expressing gratitude in my mind for things around me. And it varies from day to day. It could be, oh, little bird, thank you for coming. I left this seat out for you. I moved it right here so you can be right with me. I'm grateful for you. Come. I have food for you. Thank you for coming to be with me. Right.
Mhm.
It could be, oh, chair, thank you. You are the best chair in the whole world, right? I've had lots of different office chairs, and most of them have hurt my back, but you have always fully supported me, and I love and appreciate you. I do, because my back hurt if I
Apparently,
didn't
we
have
all
this
need to figure out
chair.
who you're using for chairs, and everybody.
Well, but it might not be right for anybody else either, right? I mean, because that's the thing, is we all have to do it in our own art form and in our own way. However that is. There's a principle, there's kind of a basic practice that you can do, but, you know, how you choose to do it is up to you. It's just doing it or placing some awareness on it.
Yeah. And it's something, I mean, so one of the things that I do is every morning, I've talked about my animal cards that I pull, but along with that, I also have a journal. And every morning I write down three things that I'm grateful for. So I start my day, that's actually the very first thing. I sit down at my desk, I pull out this journal, this little notebook I've got, and I write down, I am grateful for, and then boom, 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 I just list three things. Um, and doing that helps put me in the right mindset to start my day. So I'm thinking about gratitude. I'm, trying to get me in a higher frequency of gratitude, especially first thing in the morning. It's, tended to be like kind of tired or groggy maybe, or, whatever, some of these lower frequency sort of stuff. But kind of thinking about gratitude first thing in the morning kind of helps bring me up. Because some days things come really quick, you know, something, maybe like, hey, I'm grateful for a good night's sleep. If I wake up really feeling rested and I feel really energetic and ready to go, that may be the thing that jumps out at me is, hey, this good night's sleep was wonderful. I'm so grateful that I had that. Or maybe it's something I did the day before. I'm grateful for having a day I could spend with my daughter, going hiking, let's say. Something like that maybe become really easy to me. But sometimes it takes as the lingo is, 10 things takes me a hot minute to come up with something that I'm grateful for. Um, the irony, of course, is that there's things everywhere around me. And I'm surrounded by things to be grateful for and have gratitude for.
Yeah.
Right? You talked about your office chair. I'm grateful for my chair. I'm grateful for my computer. I'm grateful for the internet. I'm grateful for the electricity. I'm grateful for the people who provide the electricity, the workers at the electric company. I'm grateful for the coal, which is probably what we use here, the coal that is turned into electricity. It
Yeah.
was burned, and then the animals that gave their lives to make that coal, the dinosaurs that are part of that coal, and all those things that allowed me to be able to help other people. I'm grateful for being able to help other people, that I can talk with them, that people come to me and they trust me, that I have experience, I have expertise and knowledge I can share. Like all of these things are all around us that we can be grateful for,
Yeah.
but sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees.
Well, we just we
Right.
just we just choose to be grumpy as opposed to, being grateful, because I think, we kind of talked about this on the last episode that we recorded too, and I think it's, to just try to bring it back to a real practical thing. And again, you may believe me, you may not. It's fine. Believe what you want to, but when we feel grateful, we are emanating grateful frequency energy. It heals ourself, it heals our body physically, it heals our light body, etherically, but it also is radiating gratitude out throughout this world and throughout the universes. And again, you can believe it, not believe it, it doesn't matter. But that's what is happening. And so every time we feel grateful, and we really mean it, and
Mhm.
we express gratitude, and we really mean it, we're helping to place a grateful vibration on this world that helps other people to also feel more grateful. Again, they can choose to do it, not do it. It's up to them,
Mhm.
right? But it's the same thing. It's like if you've ever been with somebody who, uh, yeah, and I actually just had this experience with a family member. I They were giving me shit about something that should have been passed a long time ago, right? But they are holding on to. And I had held on to some of it. I'd held on to some anger and some other things that I probably shouldn't have for years and years and years about it. But I took the opportunity when I saw them to really kind of center myself and express the most authentic gratitude I could for this person. And some of the stuff, it was honestly, they're out of line and they shouldn't have done certain things, but it gave me, and I could feel a gratitude for the lessons I learned and the things I had to go through because of this person. If that makes any sense, right? I'm a stronger, better person because of going through those experiences. I felt it. My partner felt it, who was standing right next to me. We both felt it. This other person started to feel it, didn't want to feel it.
Mhm.
And so they made some smart ass comment. They did some other kind of thing because they didn't want to feel that.
Mhm.
Okay. Right. You don't want to feel grateful. You don't want to reciprocate back. That's fine. That's up to you. Right. But it really taught me a lot about what kind of relationship I'm going to have with that person going forward
Mhm.
when they rebuff that. Okay. You don't want it? Fine. Right. And so, as that is going out, people talk about spreading love and light, and it seems like we're hippies, but no, it's real. It's spreading love and light and gratitude and these things. It really is like we are lighthouses generating this out. so that anybody who wants to can also catch on and ride it too. They choose to, they don't choose to, it's up to them. Right. And so, yeah, there's a selfish part of it and our own evolvement, our own spiritual progression, but we're all connected too. And so the really practical thing about this is we're making the world better around us too, at the same
Mhm.
point, right? Higher tides raise all ships at that point.
Mhm.
So that's kind of, one of the practical things I think with it too, and that the more grateful we can feel, um, the more we're doing to elevate everyone, everyone.
Mhm. Yep, that doesn't just help you.
Doesn't just help you. Well, like you said, because, even, when we were talking about before, the example you're giving to your daughter, the
Mhm.
example that you do when she sees you doing certain things, she learns from that,
Mhm.
and so I'm sure you want her to be a grateful person. So you showing her that example of being grateful helps her to also do that and
Mhm.
her to pay that forward to other people in her life as well.
Mhm.
Which is it's a beautiful um, symbiotic relationship we have with everything. I mean, even you know, it's fall, right? It's the end of the season. But I went and bought some herb plants to put in my garden. I haven't really gardened in a while. And I will tell you, these plants look pretty sad. They looked like they were almost dead,
Mhm.
right? At the home improvement store. We found the ones that felt like were the ones that needed to come home with us, just like we do in the grocery store, right?
Mhm.
Found the best ones that kind of called to us, but they all looked pretty sad. They were kind of out on the clearance rack. It's the end of the season. It's still hot. They probably weren't watering them that well. They just looked pretty sad. We get them home, give them some love, touch them, plant them, put manure around it, water them. And guess what? you know, express gratitude and love for them the next day. It was like they were totally different plants, literally in one day. Totally different, because again, we express some gratitude for them and some love for them. They give it back to us now, too, right?
Mhm.
Because we've been consuming these herbs as well, right? So those herbs end up becoming a part of us. So, you know, just little things about how can we be more grateful. Can you be more grateful for the food you eat, for the people who
Mhm.
help you get there? We've talked about the water, people
Mhm.
in your life that love you, that support you, the abundance that you have. Even if you think you're poor, you have so much abundance than so many people in this life. The people in poverty in this country are still better off, financially, abundance wise, than over half the world, at least. So many people still live on $1,000 or less a year in the developing world. So, what things can we be grateful for? You know, um, at least, like you said, whether it's something like a gratitude journal that you do, just
Mhm.
thinking of three things a day, eventually that practice becomes more and more, right?
Mhm.
Taking a few minutes in between phone calls or when you need to take a break at work or sitting on the toilet, wherever, it doesn't matter,
Thank you for
right?
the deuce that I'm about to drop, and it
Yeah, no, I honestly say that sometimes, I mean, you can laugh about it, but it's like it's a great feeling, and I'm grateful that my
Mhm.
body is working the way that it's supposed to, because I know
Yep.
what it feels like to not be able to go. And that's not fun, right?
Yep.
And so, again, it's even little things like that, or when the challenges come along, can we see them as opportunities and be grateful for the
Hmm.
growth instead of, see them as a burden?
Yeah, and
It's
that's a
hard.
tough
I
one.
I still struggle with that all the
Yeah,
time.
no, that's a tough one. You have a bad thing. So the
Yeah.
past, not last night, but the past couple nights, I've woken up in the middle of the night with like a knot in my stomach, and it felt kind of queasy. I got sick the one night, and it'd be very easy to say, you know what, this just blows. Like this sucks. Like this is terrible. Like I can't sleep. I'm uncomfortable. Like this is just awful, right? But I've been focusing on being grateful because I know it's temporary. Like I go to I finally fall asleep. I wake up in the morning and I felt better. Maybe a little bit tired or a little bit weak and stuff. But generally speaking, felt better. I know that I have. If it was a legit health issue, I have access to people around that I get help from. You know, I know that my body is still doing the things it's supposed to be doing. I'm able to feel pain, discomfort, right? That I'm still able to purge when necessary, or to get things out. That my body knows how to handle itself and to care for itself, right? Um, I grateful that one of the things that we've talked about here on the podcast, I believe, is the idea of when you have pain or discomfort, you can breathe through it. I think we had a podcast episode, I don't know, maybe a month or so back, about breathing into it and that helping stuff. And I actually did that. And so I was grateful that I remembered that I learned that technique, but that it actually worked. Just imagined breathing the air coming in and kind of swirling in there in that area. And then I breathed out, and then everything that didn't need to be there would go away. And then another cleansing breath. And that actually helped the second night when I kind of consciously thought about that, and it made it go away, the discomfort go away. And that's something I'm grateful for, that I learned the lesson of how powerful the breath is, how I can heal myself, you know, and that I don't allow something like this to just totally derail me and throw me off. I could be like, oh my God, the world's over. I'm dying here, and all that kind of stuff. But no, you know what? I know this is just a little blip, and now I'm fine.
Well, I think it's funny because I mean, I'll share one thing that I tend to do too, because I do the breathing sometimes when I need to. I haven't felt like I needed to do that recently, but what I do that is kind of tied in with our impeccability discussion that we had, being
Hmm.
impeccable with your
Last
words
episode, yeah.
is the words that we're choosing to use. So I even heard you say the word discomfort. Right. And so I'll give you an example, right? Is I might wake up in the morning and the old days or the old Jason would say, oh man, I got a pain in my back. Right. Well, the word pain has a different frequency than the word discomfort.
Mhm.
Right. And so, my intention is to use words like discomfort instead. Right. But I will even I've started I I think I've told you or I can't remember who I tell what, but I talk to myself. Okay. I talk to myself. I'm not crazy, but I talk to myself.
Sure you
And
are,
I
Jason.
and I talk to
Just
parts of me as well.
yeah.
I talk to
Hmm.
parts of me as well. And there's lots of parts to Jason. But we'll use this as an example. Is I wake up and I'm feeling some discomfort in my back. And so I will say, oh, back. I feel a little discomfort. I am grateful, right, for you reminding me that you are there. I am grateful that you are strong and that you help me stand
Hmm.
and you help me do all of the things that I need to do. I am grateful that almost every day you feel beautiful and fine and healthy and vibrant. and I'm grateful, for the reminder that you're there, and I bless you, and maybe breathe through or do whatever, and then kind of go on, right? Because for me, it's, you know, showing gratitude, because sometimes it's just like, hello, Jason, tapping on the shoulder, like, hey, remember, we're your feet, we're here, right? We're holding you up, we're giving you some understanding, and we could use a little attention right now. Oh, yes, feet, thank you. I'm so grateful for you to, do all the things that you help me to do, and to stabilize me and whatever else, right? We can even go to that extent. And like I said, it's allowing me to get more in touch with all of me
Hmm.
by doing that. And it's similar, body scan meditation is one that people do.
Yep.
There's, again, if you're interested in that, there's a bunch of stuff out on the internet about how to do it and guided meditation, for how to do it. But that's effectively what it is too, is it's expressing gratitude for different parts of us as well.
Hmm.
So, don't, start getting creative maybe, if you want to feel more gratitude, there's lots of different practices you can use. There's lots of different things that you can focus on. Just
Hmm.
pick something that you actually mean, right? That you can
Yep.
actually feel. Even if it's the same thing, maybe you can only find one thing that you're truly, truly grateful for. Well, then just do that until
Yep.
you can think of something else. I'm sure again, Brad, I know I've done a gratitude journal a little bit, and I know I found sometimes I would just get in the habit of kind of doing like the same things just to check it off. So I kind of quit doing it because I
Hmm.
felt like I was getting mechanized with it, and I
Hmm.
wasn't I wasn't as authentic as I should be. I'm sure you're not doing that because you've been doing it for a while and can continue to do it, but are there usually different things that show up each day, or a lot of times they're the same
It's
things?
pretty much always something different. Sometimes it's consciously that I try to do that. I try
Mhm.
to vary what I talk about.
Mhm.
Um, and so I will make sure, I try not to worry really about what I did yesterday. Like yesterday was yesterday. Today I'm focusing on today, what I'm grateful for today. Um, but I kind of know, hey, I know I talked a lot yesterday about me stuff, what things that happened to me that have been great. So let me think about some things that maybe are not about me, maybe other people that are in the world that I'm grateful that are there. I mentioned about, electric workers. I've done that before, utility workers that are out there who are climbing up poles and repairing things, and like that. Without them there wouldn't be power, stuff like that. Or I'll think about, the chairs that I, there, or the things that aren't bothering me, that I'm just like, talk about the feet. Maybe my feet aren't actually bothering me at all. They aren't sore, they aren't calling for attention, but I'll just think like, what is there? Okay, you know what, I'm grateful that I have feet that are strong, that will hold me up, support me, that help me, I can run and walk, and you know, that it's not nothing wrong with them. I'm just grateful that they are there. And I want to show some acknowledgement and appreciation for them. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've been doing a gratitude journal for, well, I've been doing it since pandemic. So, I mean, 4 or 5 years now, I've been doing it pretty much every
Oh,
day,
wow. There you go. Yeah.
different things. And sometimes it repeats, but I mean, a lot of times just kind of what jumps to mind is, hey, this is something to be grateful for today.
Mhm.
Never run out of things, never run out of things to be grateful for.
Yeah, because I think if you want to be grateful, or if one wants to be grateful, there's always something that one can find to be grateful for.
Yep.
You know, every day above ground is a good day,
There you go.
right? And, even if it comes down to something as simple as that, and it just takes practice. I mean,
Mhm.
Brad's been doing this journal for 4 or 5 years now, 4 years. Yeah, or almost over 4 years, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I've been doing the little things that I do for a while, and I keep playing with it, and I keep doing it a little bit different because, I'm trying to, make it be something that's authentic for me. And that's
Hmm.
really all that all of us can do, right? Is just like, hey, if you want to try one of the things we're doing, fine. If not, then hey, that's okay too.
Hmm.
But just pick some things this week, see what you can be more grateful for, this next week, and you'll start to feel different. I'll just say that, right? Because I know I have, and I think Brad, you
Hmm.
have as well. So,
Yeah, I mean that's the reason why I keep doing it.
yep, exactly. All right. So with that, we're gonna wrap up for this week. So a little bit about gratitude, some of the things that we're doing, and
Hmm.
we'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll
See you
see you
guys.
then. All right.